Good morning and welcome to everyone. Today we gather on Earth Day 2025, a day that holds special meaning for all of us here at NCESS, where the Earth is both our subject of study and our shared responsibility. As an institute dedicated to earth sciences, every year Earth Day reminds us to pause and reflect. It's not just an environmental observances, it's a global reminder of our responsibility to protect the system we study every day, our land, our ocean, and our atmosphere. Since its inception in 1970, Earth Day has grown into a movement that now reaches 193 countries. At NCESS, we don't just celebrate the Earth, we explore the Earth from its core to its climate, investigate it from its present to its past and future, and protect it. So our work is a direct contribution to this Earth mission. This year's Earth Day theme is Our Power, Our Planet, calling for everyone to unite around renewable energy so we can triple the capacity of clean electricity by 2030. With this, let us begin today's program. I request our Director, Sir, Professor 𝗷𝗵𝗂𝗃, and our chief guest, eminent geophysicist Padma Shri Awardee, Professor 𝗗𝗵𝗂𝗃, to the dais. Please welcome them with a big round of applause. So please come. As a token of our respect and appreciation, I now request Shilpa to kindly present a flower bouquet to our chief guest, who truly embodies the spirit of Earth Day. We are honored to have you, sir, with us today. I also request Dhanya and Vidya Lakshmi to present a flower to our ex-colleague and guest present here. I would now like to invite our Director, Sir, Professor 𝗷𝗵𝗂𝗃, to deliver the welcome address and introduce our chief guest today.
Thank you, Sneha. A very good morning to each of you and greetings on the occasion of the Earth Day, 55th Earth Day. Very distinguished chief guest of today's function, Professor 𝗗𝗵𝗂𝗃, former Director CESS, former Secretary MoES, presently President of Geological Society of India, INSA Senior Scientist at CSIR-NGRI, my colleagues from NCESS and my colleagues from CESS, all invitees, research scholars, and everyone who gathered here, a hearty welcome to each of you. We all know, as Sneha has just said, that Earth Day is being celebrated since 55 years. It actually conceptualized way back in 1970 in the United States state of Wisconsin, where the mayor of the city conceived the idea that to have a day called Earth Day to actually cater to the human health in terms of pollution from air and also from sound, from water pollution and so forth. What has gradually started as a small movement has magnified itself and it has become a global movement as we stand today. Actually, today as we stand, your movement of your Earth Day has turned more into sustainable movement, and has made significant progress in science policy understanding as well. Spontaneous response is being received not only by the scientists, but every common man, ranging from farmers to homemakers to practically everyone. And today it has turned out to be a very large movement. As we stand today, we have many things at stake. An ice-free Arctic, fewer fisheries, diminished coral reefs, a more acidified oceans, dwindling continental glaciers, tragic loss of so many species. We talk about mass extinction, we are already in there. Widespread water scarcity, great floods and droughts, all of them are staring at us. And this earth movement is all about believing in ourselves, about environmental conservation and self-organizing. As Sneha said, the theme of this year's Earth Day is Our Power, Our Earth is very apt and aims to harness renewable energy to make a cleaner and greener Earth for our habitat. Now, if we look back, science and technology certainly can provide inspiration in this endeavor. Socrates has been reported to have observed more than 2000 years ago, in quotes, "A man must rise above the earth to the top of the atmosphere and beyond, for only thus he will fully understand the world which he lives." Unquote. The famous astronomer Fred Hoyle, who was a PhD supervisor of famous Indian astrophysicist Jayant Narlikar and who gave nucleosynthesis theory, he observed much before Apollo 8 mission satellite has landed on the moon, in quotes, once a photograph of Earth is taken from outside, it becomes available to all. The sheer isolation of Earth will become very apparent. A new idea, as powerful as any in history, will let loose, unquote. So, Earth Day concept today, actually, as we stand, sounds like a perfect prescription for social networking. Just think of when the first Earth Day was conceived way back in 1970. There was no internet, there was no email, no cell phone, no Facebook, no YouTube, no Twitter, no Wikipedia. But today, I was gathering yesterday, there are more than 210 billion email messages sent every day. Of course, 70% of them are spam. 4.3 billion cell phones, more than 400 million Facebook users, a billion YouTube views per day, and 50 million tweets per day. It's a truly global phenomenon. So why not use the grassroots social networking to organize the survival of the planet on the Earth today? That's what we need to think about. It's much easier to sensitize people than 55 years ago because everything is in your mobile or networking site. So the onus, who has the onus on that? The onus is on each of us to deliver, and NCESS is fully geared up to do this task. Right from its inception in 1978, under the leadership of Professor Karunakaran, who envisaged the concept of Earth system science much before anybody in the world thought about it, CESS and NCESS have played or playing a tremendous role in addressing all these aspects of Earth science as applicable to society. In terms of Earth's material like rocks and minerals, in terms of Earth structures, faults, folds, in studying the natural hazards like earthquakes, landslides, coastal erosion management, river pollution, atmospheric pollution for the sake of human benefit. So we are fully embodied in the spirit of the Earth Day from the beginning. NCESS, we all know, is marching towards its Golden Jubilee, not very far from now, 2028 January. And we have emerged as a major national institute in solid earth and also in other domains of the earth system science. And Professor Harsh Gupta, who was associated right from the beginning when the CESS days, will be happy to know that NCESS today has a scientist strength of 34 with an average age of 42. We are a very young institute if you compare with many such institutes in India. We have a multidisciplinary team of very bright youngsters across disciplines of geology, geophysics, civil engineering, physics, chemistry, and environmental science and electronics. All this truly embodies the spirit of transdisciplinary, interdisciplinary research, which the Prime Minister envisages in new education policy today. Some of the major highlights in recent years have been emergence as a leader in the country in in situ petrochronology. We are able to achieve dating at unprecedented levels at micron size scale to date orogenic events, and we are the leaders today, where I can proudly say. We are pioneer in coastal zone research management plans and coastal zone mapping, which serve as white papers in all the central and state government and also in judiciary. And this has been the case right from inception of CESS. In critical zone research, again, which is the science of the shallow subsurface, which is extremely important for human survival, we are leaders. We are creating a network across the critical zone observatories. In submarine groundwater discharge, programs also. NCESS is a leader, and we are coordinating with so many academic institutions and national labs in this endeavor. And in cloud, at high altitude microphysics, lightning, and all these things, our observations are augmenting with the data, satellite data, and so forth. Just to mention few journals touched by NCESS in last 2 years, I just named them. I'm selective. Please excuse me if I skip some journals. Precambrian Research, Geophysical Research Letters, JGR Solid Earth, JGR Planets, Quaternary Research, Tectonophysics, ICARS, Earth Science Reviews, Journal of Seismology, Geological Magazine, Lithos, Geochemica Cosmochemica Acta, Nature Scientific Reports, Atmospheric Research, Journal of Petrology, Journal of Geochemical Exploration, Geological Society of America Bulletin, Journal of Metamorphic Geology, Earth and Planetary Science Letters, etc. and etc. These are some of the topmost journals in the world where our scientists have embarked upon in last 2 years. Because it is ultimately the publications which speak about the quality of science we are doing in top journals. We are also a part of ISRO's Chandrayaan-4 program, where our scientists are going to be involved in the sample, their studies, and so forth. We are also studying polymetallic nodules and hydrothermal sulfides in the MoES ambitious program of Matsya 6000. We are also involved, we are going to study to the ocean depth samples and to create new insights on that. And recently, we also participated in a ground penetrating radar survey of the Rashtrapati Bhavan to map the subsurface structure there. Our geophysicists went there to map the subsurface. So it is very fitting that NCESS is celebrating the Earth Day this year with such an august chief guest who himself contributed immensely to the renewable energy. Professor Gupta is well known for seismotectonics, which I am going to share later, but he is also renowned for his book on geothermal energy and renewable energy resources, and who strived a lot to tackle and address the problem of natural hazards throughout his illustrious career. So with these opening remarks, I thought, I welcome all of you again. Now it's my proud privilege to formally introduce Professor 𝗗𝗄𝗃 Gupta. It's actually sheer delight to introduce such a personality, one of the most accomplished earth scientists of our country, who is equally renowned globally. He's a remarkable researcher, scientific administrator, and mentor, all put in one. Professor Gupta, as I said, is presently serving as INSA Senior Scientist, NGRI, CSIR-NGRI, Hyderabad, and is also currently the President of Geological Society of India, the premier most scientific organization of geoscience in the country, and is also a member of the Atomic Energy Regulatory Board. Formerly, he served as member of the National Disaster Management Authority of India, where he held status equivalent to Minister of State. He served as Secretary of Ministry of Earth Science. In those days, it was the Department of Ocean Development. He served as Director CSIR-NGRI. He served as Vice Chancellor of CUSAT, Cochin University Science and Technology, and served as Director of Center for Earth Science Studies. And also he served as Professor at University of Texas at Dallas, and also a former President of IUGG and IOJS. Let me narrate in small subheads his career profile, because it's very important to share, not only for the sake of posterity, but also motivate each of us what a single individual can achieve in his career. Coming to his education, academics, and research career, Professor Gupta did his schooling from St. George's College, Missouri, and graduate studies in BSc Honours and MSc Geophysics from the famed Indian School of Mines, Dhanbad, today we call IIT ISM. After that, he immediately joined CSIR-NGRI as a scientist and pursued advanced studies in seismology of the International Institute of Seismology and Earthquake Engineering at Tokyo on a 2-year UNESCO fellowship. After returning back, he submitted his PhD at IIT Roorkee under the supervision of Professor Hari Narayan and Professor G.S. Mittal at Roorkee University. And subsequently, he moved over to United States, where he joined, as I said, University of Texas, Dallas, where he served as a research scientist in 1972. And for a decade, he stayed there. Out of his love for the motherland, he returned back to India and to Kerala, where in 1982, he joined as the director of the Center for Earth Science Studies, Thiruvananthapuram, and worked there till 1987. What I understand is, he has contributed immensely towards the growth of the CESS, At that time, CESS was scattered as different institutes all over the city of Tiruvandrum. He brought all of them together into a single campus, and he was the person behind procuring the land here and the construction of the buildings. I also understand by chatting with some of the former CESS scientists, he also created the importance, the culture of scientific publishing in top journals, because at the end of the day, a scientist or a scientific institute has to be judged by the science they have done. And he encouraged and promoted that type of scientific culture in this institute, for which we are all very indebted to him. He also served as project director of Kerala Mineral Development Exploration Project during the same period. And subsequently, at the behest of the governor of Kerala and chief minister of Kerala, he was appointed as the vice chancellor of CUSAT at very, very young age of 42 years. It's even now, I think it's a sort of record, because to become vice chancellor, one need to be at least of certain age. But due to his credence, he became the vice chancellor of CUSAT in 1987, and where he completely revamped the university, and again he made a dent in the functioning of the university, where Indian National Science Congress was held, which he organized very, very prominently. Then he joined in DST in 1980 as an advisor for 2 years, and then in 1992 he took up the responsibility of leading CSIR-NGRI at Hyderabad, where he was there for almost a decade. Then he shifted to ocean development at Delhi, Ministry of Earth Science, where he served as secretary. And then upon his superannuation, he returned back to his favorite research lab, that is NGRI, where he still continues to do research, and he attends as regularly as anybody. Coming to his research contributions, Professor Gupta is globally known for discovering the thick crust in the below the Himalayan Tibetan plateau. That 65-70 kilometer thick crust was delineated by him for the first time. He is also renowned for his work on reservoir-induced seismicity. All of us are familiar with Koyna Dam, and the Koyna Dam the history cannot be complete without referring his name. And he's a pioneer on reservoir-induced seismicity in the globally. And his researches ultimately paved way for the stable continental earthquake seismicity, intraplate earthquakes like Latur and in Bhuj area we experienced. Then one of his crowning achievements, I think, is the setting up of India's first permanent station at Antarctica at Dakshin Gangotri in a record time of one Antarctic summer, which is even untouched today. And for us it is very important, because at that time he was the director of CESS. From here, he led the expedition to Antarctica and set the camp there, the Dakshin Gangotri. He served as the steering committee chairman of the Global Seismic Hazard Program, where more than 500 scientists work globally to produce the global seismic hazard map. He had set up the Indian Ocean Tsunami Warning System, we all know, at our sister organization in 𝗂𝗲, it is there, after the Sumatra earthquake. He also pioneered the gas hydrate research in India, and a lot of gas hydrate reserves were mapped by him and his colleagues. It was during his tenure as government secretary, the Department of Ocean Development implemented programs such as bathymetric surveys of the Indian Exclusive Economic Zone and establishment of Indo-Russian Gas Hydrate Center at Chennai. He also was the man behind setting up of desalination plant of MoES at 𝗗𝗏 in Lakshadweep. And he also worked, even now he's still working, for just today morning he was mentioning, for the legal continental shelf and developing technologies for detecting water resources, rain harvesting, and assessing earthquake hazards. Professor Gupta has published more than 200 papers in journals, scientific journals, authored 5 books published by Elsevier and Springer. His first book, Dams and Earthquakes, has been translated into Russian and Chinese. And in 2011, he came up with a mammoth contribution, Encyclopedia of Solid Earth Geophysics, running into 1500 pages, and whose second edition has also come up very recently. He is well recognized. Practically every award which we can think of, he received them, including 𝗏𝗵𝗂𝗶𝗺 Bhatnagar Prize, National Mineral Award as an individual recipient, as well as a lifetime achievement, he received it. Ministry of our Earth Science has honored him with Excellence Award. He also received Padma Shri Award, which is a very cherished award. Very few scientists have been bestowed upon. Waldo Smith Award by American Geophysical Union, Oxford Medal by your Asia-Oceania Society, and 𝗓𝗏 Medal of INSA, Jawaharlal Nehru Birth Centenary Fellowship, Nayudamma Memorial Gold Medal, and is of course fellow of all the science academies, including the Third World Academy is nowadays called the World Academy of Sciences. He is a fellow of it, fellow of American Geophysical Union, and he delivered so many memorial lectures. Professor Gupta also is a mentor, great mentor, because I always feel that a person should be remembered by the type of students he created. One of our former directors, 𝗗𝘗𝗃 Rao, we all know, he did PhD with Professor Gupta. Padma Rao's supervisor, M. Ravi Kumar, was also supervised by Professor Gupta. So all of these things speak about the quality of the school he has established in earth science. So I feel very privileged on behalf of myself and on the NCESS fraternity. Sir, we are very delighted to have you here amidst us and to share your thoughts on this occasion. Thanks again for agreeing to come over here and to grace the occasion. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for such a nice introduction for our chief guest. And now I will request our chief guest for his keynote talk today. And I will request our director, sir, to take his chair.
How do I change the slides? What a wonderful time for me to be back here and be in a place where I learned so many things. You see, as 𝗓𝗵𝗃 told, that I was educated at School of Mines, and my initiation in seismology was at Shillong. And then I was nurtured at Hyderabad and advanced training in Japan and worked in Dallas. But all the techniques of running science were taught to me by this institute. And I'm ever so grateful for that, because if I had not worked here, I don't think I would have reached anywhere that I have reached today. I'm also so happy that some of my senior colleagues are here. I see Bhattacharya, I see my classmate, Professor Rajan Nair, then 𝗓𝗏𝗃𝗃 Nair, who helped me all those years, and many more, and it's really a great pleasure for me to be here. I will start by giving 3 books to your director. The first book is the book on Antarctica. So this is the story that I'm going to tell today. Now, I will only be talking about the setting of the station, but there was a lot of scientific work. And this is a scientific report which was prepared by Mr. 𝗓𝗃, who was here at that time. And finally, I'm going to present a book which is an autobiography. Not a bit different in our sciences. And I'll give you a story about it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You see, it is very important that on Earth Day, I'm able to address you. Recently, there was a conference on sustainable education. This is a global initiative, and the 6th session on 19th and 20th of September last year. So this initiative is taken on a global level, and the first edition was in Paris and elsewhere. This was 6th edition, and there were about 200 people from all over the world. I was invited to talk about tsunamis and things like that. So there a lady stood up and showed what are the contributions of different disciplines to sustainable development goals. There are 17 sustainable development goals. To them, earth sciences contribute 17%, 19%. The biological sciences contribute 8%, chemical sciences 5%, and physical sciences only 3%. But the unfortunate part is that all of us are in geology or geophysics by chance, not by choice. Because when you are in 5th, 6th, 7th class, you are taught physics, chemistry, biology, but not geology. So at some stage after +2, etc., we think that what should we be doing, and sometimes we land in geology. If we introduce geology as a subject, then the situation will totally change. The very sustainability of Mother Earth depends on how well we understand it. And how do you understand it? By studying geology, geophysics, and all earth sciences. So I've been pleading globally to start geology as a subject, and this has entered somewhere in UNESCO and other places, and I hope that this would happen. My also compliments to this institution here, which has 34 scientists with an average of 42, so you are one of the youngest institution in the country. And the list of the papers published in international journals, which Dr. 𝗗𝗵𝗺𝗶 mentioned, is really very impressive. I will now come to the talk, and there are many stories related with this talk, which we will follow. And do you have a caller mic by any chance? You know, Antarctica is very important for us. It is very often not understood that it is the 5th largest continent with almost 14 million square kilometer of the area. It has massive ice sheet which averages almost 1800 meters, and we still don't know whether we have estimated the maximum thickness of the ice. We have drilled up to almost 5 kilometers and we are still in ice. And this has resulted in a sort of depression of the entire continent by about 600 meters. And it is also the highest continent in the world, with the average height of being about 2.5 kilometers. When you go to 𝗵𝗺 or some places, they are 500 meter, 1,000 meter most. And here you are talking of 2,500 meters. And surprisingly, it is also the driest continent in the world, with the annual rainfall of being only 10 centimeters. And there are certain portions in the interior of Antarctica where it hasn't rained for thousands of years. Then, as we all know, that a lot of fresh water is stored in Antarctica, almost 80%. And if the Antarctic ice melts, which is happening very fast, last year the temperature of Antarctica have gone up by 6 degrees Celsius as the global average of 0.1 degrees. And if only a small portion of Antarctica is exposed, the rest is all covered. Lowest temperature, magnetic and geographical South Pole are there. Then there were a lot of minerals. And there was a time when countries like USA, England, Japan, Russia, etc. had divided the whole continent into groups, areas, and making their claims. But somehow, fortunately, we know that they are almost the largest coal belt, running some 2,500 kilometers, and it is full of mineral and resources. But summer population is about 6,000, and winters is dwindled down to 4,500. There are 70 wintering stations. So during the International Geophysical Year in 1957-58, it was agreed that Antarctica is not meant for exploitation. Antarctica is meant only for learning about science, to see what has happened in the past, because there is a ice layer which keeps on accumulating, and if you drill 1 kilometer down into the ice sheet, you can pull out the ice which is maybe 500,000 years old, and if you go to the deepest parts, you can scan what the atmosphere was 4 or 5 million years ago. So that is a huge information depository. So that resulted in signing of the Antarctic Treaty in December 1959 by 12 nations globally, and all the territorial claims were frozen. Now, India was keen to be a part of the multiple global forums. A decision was made to make India's presence felt in Antarctica in somewhere in 1970s. You know, Antarctica is very important for us, and if you look at the globe, between India and Antarctica, there is only the Indian Ocean. There are small little countries like Mauritius, etc. So the weather of Indian Ocean is totally controlled by Antarctica, and Indian Ocean controls the weather of Indian subcontinent. So for a long range forecast, you must understand what is the relation between Antarctic weather, Indian Ocean weather, and Indian weather. And the protocol is that you can reach or you can achieve, get the global data only in the disciplines where you contribute. So it becomes important that we set up a permanent base in Antarctica for a long day study. And in that way, the first expedition was led by Dr. 𝗍𝗲𝗄𝗃, who later became Secretary to Department of Ocean Development in 1981. He went on Finn Polaris ship, and they parked by the side of Antarctica. They roamed around, collected a lot of information. Second expedition was led by Dr. Rana. Again, they used Polar Circle, the ship, and they also went there. But they were not able to sleep on Antarctica. It's very difficult. So they will come back. And so this is just, you know all about it, that how the Gondwana Island broke and moved, etc., etc. So somewhere in 1902, I came to Trivandrum, and in 1983, there was a call for proposals for the third expedition. And being a seismologist, in those days, there was very little information available about earthquakes in Antarctica. So I made a proposal from CESS from here to set up 5 permanent stations in Antarctica. And in those days, those stations could not be remotely operated. Some person had to live physically to change the records, etc., etc. So I was called to make a presentation in the Department of Ocean Development. That time, the Department of Ocean Development was located in the South Block, and Dr. 𝗍𝗲𝗄𝗃 has become the secretary. So like me, there were 12 or 13 other people who had come to make presentations. So I made my presentation. They liked the presentation, and they said that we like your presentation, but this year we may be setting up a permanent base. So we will not be able to provide you the manpower that you require, 5 persons. So I said, thank you very much, and I was leaving, and then they said, but please don't leave. You wait till all the presentations are over, we would like to talk to you. So I waited. When all the presentations were over, I was called, and Dr. 𝗍𝗲𝗄𝗃 said that although we are not accepting your proposal, but we would not want you to be the leader of this expedition. That was a total surprise for me, and I said, why me? Then they said that at the age of 40, you are already heading an institution, and we have known that you have worked a lot in Himalaya for planting station, etc., etc., and you look in good physical shape. So administratively and scientifically and physically, you seem to be an okay person. I was delighted, but I had to take permission from the state government because CESS was a state institute. So I called Mr. V. Ramachandran, the chief secretary, and he said that I'll take the permission from Sri Karnakaran, who was the chief minister, but you must talk to your family. So I talked to my wife, and we have 2 daughters. They were very young at that time, 9 and 11 years of age, and of course they knew nothing about Antarctica. I also did not know anything. So they said, yes, go ahead. So I called Dr. Qasim and told him that, yes, sir, I have accepted. He was very happy and said that please come tomorrow morning to DOD. So next day I went to DOD. Imagine that time there were hardly 20-25% DOD. So when I entered, everyone stood up in South Block because the news that I had been selected was gone, and there was a lot of respect at that time. Anyway, there was some talk, and then an appointment was sought with the Prime Minister, because Prime Minister was very keen to start or have set up a permanent base this year itself. So an appointment at 5 o'clock was given. Myself and Dr. Qasim went, and she was very happy to see a young man becoming the leader, and they started discussing. And it appeared to me that they have had discussion about this issue earlier also. She wanted the station to come, and Dr. Qasim was hesitant because we did not have enough experience. And that discussion started again. Suddenly the Prime Minister asked me, Harsh, you have an opinion? Now, for me to give an opinion about which thing about I know very little, I said, ma'am, please give me some time. How much time do you want? 1 week. Okay. Next week, same time, same place. And the meeting was over. On way back, Dr. Qasim shouted on me like hell that why did you have to poke your nose? I said, if madam asked me a question, how can I not reply it? But then he helped me a lot. And in that 1 week, I was totally engrossed with the Soviet Union embassy and the British embassy, because they were very friendly and they told me lots of things. So with that knowledge, again we went to see her, me and Dr. Qasim, and that interview lasted for 1 hour. And she asked me so many questions. 1/2 of them I knew nothing. But this also made me think that how much she has learned about Antarctica. And finally, there was a paper on her front, and she just said, done. And once she says done, it's done. So we came back, and all the preparation started, and 𝗏𝗏 was the ship which was selected for the purpose. It was a Finn ship. Major Nair was the person who lead the construction team. He was on Corps of Engineers. So 2 or 3 things that I learned from British and Soviet people. The Soviet people told me that when you go to Antarctica, you carry a lot of stuff with you. And you carry that stuff in the hold of the ship. So the things that you need first, if they are not at the top of the hold, you cannot unload your entire ship on fast ice. Because Antarctica is surrounded by fast ice. You know, after the shelf ice, the fast ice, which is 1.5 to 2 meter thick ice, which melts during the summer months, December, January. So they showed us a film in which the ship goes there, but what they wanted first was in the bottom of the ship. So the whole expedition was written off. The second small strip they showed me was where they lowered a piston bully. Some of you have been to Antarctica, so you know what a piston bully is. It is a tracked vehicle. So they lowered a piston bully on fast ice, and it just sank. They couldn't save it. Then the British people said that no one has so far succeeded in setting up a permanent base in Antarctica in one Antarctic summer. The place that you have chosen for selecting the site, there the historical record is that in the summers you can lose up to 15 days summer months time due to blizzards, and another 15 days due to whiteouts. Blizzards you know, but what are whiteouts? You see, when there is a wind blowing, the small little ice particles get airborne, and there's multiple reflection which is so glittering that even with the best of goggles you can't work. So your construction should be completed in 30 days time. So these were the things that I learned. Anyway, so we got ready, and this is the ship 𝗏𝗏, and this is the Mi-8 helicopter which is lowered into the ship. And so when the ship arrived, Panikar, your friend Panikar, came with me to Bombay, and he said, sir, we will start after 7 a.m. in the morning. I said, why 7 a.m.? We will start early. He said, sir, there is 𝗏𝗏 tomorrow. So I didn't care for 𝗏𝗏. So we started. It so happened that after going some 40, 50 kilometers, there was a breakage in the car. It took us over 1 hour to set that breakage, and then we proceeded. We went to Bombay, and there is a Mandavi hotel. Some of you might have stayed there. In Mandavi hotel, everyone was there. Dr. Qasim was there, and I called her Nair, and I asked Nair that what is the order of. There was 1,010 of construction material, because it was a pre-constructed station which we were supposed to erect. He knew broadly what is where, but not exactly. So I narrated to him the story that Soviet Union people had told me. So that morning, what had happened, that Dr. Qasim had introduced me to the ship. And the captain of the ship was told that this is 𝗏𝗏, and from now onwards, whatever he says is the last word. So next day, me and Major Nair, we went to the ship, and we asked the ship to be unloaded. that ship had a 80 feet deep hole. And all that material was unloaded. Dr. Qasim came by about 12 noon, and he got mad seeing everything out. Again, I had to take him to the side and explain why it was done. So in the process, our departure was delayed by 2 days. We were to leave on 1st of December. We left on 3rd of December. And he had reasons because he had invited the governor, etc., etc. Anyway, so we sailed off, and you see the kind of preparation we have. This is all the oil that we carried, because in case we succeed in setting up the permanent base, we will need to energize it. And energizing it was through the generators, oil-driven generators, and for that you need that oil, and you have to carry all that oil. So we started, and on the way, we used to have 2 meetings every day, 1 hour for scientific meeting, 1 hour for all the administrative thing. And they will, extend for 2 hours, 3 hours. And then we discussed that we must cut down our construction time to 30 days. How would we cut it down? Say, for example, there was 1 week kept for reconnaissance originally, which I cut down to 1 afternoon, because the place was literally known, and I said that I'll go with the flight, and then we'll find it out and finalize it then and there. On the way, there was a huge room about the size of this room, which was available to me for whatever I wanted to do. And the scientists wanted to set up some of their instruments there. But there were 3 doctors from Army, Navy, and Air Force. They said, sir, there are not adequate facilities, medical facilities on this ship. And if you give us a room, because we are carrying all the things for set up a hospital at Antarctica, we can set up that hospital here. So I gave that room to the doctors. And you can imagine that how mad the scientists were on me. That, sir, आप तो scientist हो, scientist का कहना नहीं मान रहे. मैंने कहा मैं scientist हूँ, but I have got some things to deliver, so that was given to them. Anyway, we proceeded, and we stopped for a short while at Mauritius. The reason was there were certain things which were not functional in the ship that were repaired. Some material had not come that was collected, etc. And then we proceeded. And of course, on the way we had, there is a ceremony when you cross the equator, because the King Neptune welcomes you, and all kind of pranks are there. And then we had to cross the roaring 40s. In roaring 40s, the pitching and swelling of the ship can be up to 30 or 40 degrees. Now somehow I don't fall seasick. I've been in the ship so many times. And probably I'll go from this word with regret. I don't know what seasickness is. But everyone was sick and all that. And we were delighted to spot our first iceberg. This is a tabular iceberg. And it's called a tabular iceberg because you see the top is just flat. And this is about 10 meters of height. So with the density of water and ice, so it's almost 90 meters down below. So all those beautiful scenes we were enjoying. And finally, now we have reached the fast ice, which is getting broken up. And the 𝗓𝗏𝗃, the smaller helicopter, has been taken out. And we have finally landed. This is a fast ice, this polar ship. And a very warm welcome by the penguins. The penguins are not scared of human beings because they have been never chased. So they chase you. If you don't give the food, etc., they literally chase you. But they were very friendly, and it was a pleasure. Now just spend a minute on this diagram. This is the outlay of the construction that we are going to do. This is ground floor. This is first floor. And these are all the rooms, etc., which will be built. Garage workshop, electrician workshop, diesel machine workshop, generator room, boiler room, carpenter workshop, weekly supply, etc., etc. All these rooms have to be completed, finished, and in 30 days' time. If anyone gives me 30 days to do it in Hyderabad, I cannot do it, or anywhere in the world. Construction is on 620 square meters. So we set up our camp, base camp, and the base camp are actually they are British Antarctic tents, and we used to sleep in those tents, and will be covered in our ice bags, sleeping bags, and sometimes they are frozen stiff from outside. So somebody has to unzip you, otherwise you can't get out. And in those places, when the wind blows, and there is a blizzard or there is a whiteout, though it is a 24-hour day, you cannot get out and come back of your tent for any call of nature. So you tie yourself with a rope and you go, and then with that rope you come in and start working. So what we were doing, that these are the Mi-8 helicopters. They were carrying the bound loads were picked up by them, and they were carrying it. So what happens that when the helicopter picks up the load and it does not accelerate properly, the load can have a swing, which is not good for aviation. It can create problem. So what we did, we cut open the fuselage of the helicopter and fixed a plexiglass window there. So the flight engineer can keep on having a look whether the acceleration is okay or not, and whether it is not oscillating too much on either side. And the flight engineer will keep on talking to the captain of the ship, the pilot of the ship. So this was done. On 29th, the helicopter did not gain adequate height. It started moving. The underslung load got stuck with the railing of the ship. It pulled the helicopter. The chopper blade of helicopter hit the crane of the ship, and the helicopter crashed. Fortunately, it did not crash on the ship because all the oil was there. It did not crash on ice because then it would have cooled. It crashed in water. And there were 5 occupants. They broke open the plexiglass window. If the plexiglass window is not there, they couldn't have come down. And they came up. I was on the deck of the ship, so I launched an 𝗷𝗗𝗿𝗃, the smaller helicopter, to pick them up. At the same time, we also launched a rescue boat. So the helicopter went there, lowered the string, and 2 of them got lifted. But in the meantime, they had been exposed to water. So on way to the ship, first one dropped, the second one dropped. So that was stopped. And all these 5 people were picked up by the ship, by the rescue boat. And I had alerted the doctors. So luckily that hospital was ready. So they were taken to the hospital. And imagine the scene on Phil Price, everyone's crying. And doctor said that at least 2 of them are critical because hypothermia has set in. I had to inform all these things to Professor Dr. Qasim, so I came to the bridge of the ship. Some of you must have been to a ship. So all the communication was from the bridge of the ship. From the bridge of the ship, I called Dr. Qasim and told him what all has happened. He said, you have to tell the Prime Minister. But I didn't have to call her. There was a phone came. And first question, Harsh, is everyone safe? What happened? I explained everything to her, what has happened. Second question, can you still do it? And somehow I have never said no to anything or like this. So I said, ma'am, if I don't do it, I don't come back. And there was a very long pause, a deafening pause of almost 30, 40 seconds. And then she said, go ahead and do it. And I've analyzed that pause later on. Because here is a 40-year-old man saying that if I don't do it, I will not come back. She is the Prime Minister of the country. If something worse happens, we will blame her. Why didn't you call them back? So that was her thought process in which she decided and said, okay, so everyone listened to that because it was on the bridge of the ship. So captain asked me, Harsh, Dr. Gupta, when do we go back? I said, this is the first time, last time you are asking this question. Either we complete this station or we are going to stay put here. And then the next thing was to go to the camp because people should not be afraid of traveling by helicopter. So I took the next helicopter, went there, and they were all collected in a tent, all of them, and I told the whole story. And there was a war cry, we shall do it. And that changed everything. That was a time when I had to switch off generators at 10 p.m. because the sun does not set. So there is light and people will not stop working. And most of the people were from Kerala because there was a Kerala unit from which these workers had come. And they had identified themselves because I was going from there, although I was speaking no Malayalam. But being in army, they had picked up Hindi and all that kind of things. So work started, this is our camp, and something I did. Okay, so work is started. And you see, construction in Antarctica is not simple. Here I am showing you the laying of the raft foundation. Because if you construct on ice, there can be differential settling of the blocks because ice is not solid. So you put a raft foundation at about 2 meter depth. So you dig the whole ice 2 meters and put a raft foundation. So you have a common base for the entire building. And this raft foundation was put for an entire 620 square meter of the area. And the construction work starts. So this is assembling of wooden planks which were pre-planned, and this building was constructed thrice because you assemble all this. Then inside you put a lining, asbestos lining, to avoid all the fire hazards. And outside you put a steel lining to provide the strength, etc., etc. So this is a view of Antarctica station being constructed from helicopter, and we have painted it to match with the colors of our national flag, and you see the stuff lying all around. And you see it is very important that the two buildings are connected by a very flimsy joint, because fires are very common in Antarctica. So if there is a fire, it should not burn both the blocks, and people can survive in one block. So these are all the measures taken to provide that kind of a protection. During that time, I visited the Russian station. And in the center, you see the Russian captain. Here I am. These are my friends. And here you will notice that they are all wearing thermals on their legs. I never put on thermals there. I did not put on thermals to show that it's not cold. You cannot complain of cold weather. And sometimes my legs would freeze. So I would just do spot running for 5 minutes, I'll be all right. So that gave a lot of moral courage. And when I told this thing to this captain, he could not stop laughing for almost 2 minutes. He said, "You have made my day." I said, "What have I done?" He said, "You are a fool. Has anyone built a station in Antarctica in one Antarctic summer? Are you dreaming?" And he laughed again. So then I discovered that he has been there for last 3 years. I said, "Don't go back to Russia anytime?" "No, enough vodka here and no work." So he's happy. So now the fast ice is totally melted, and this is the shelf ice, which is about 20 meters. So the ship had come by the side and unloading started. And 26th January 1984 is my life's most precious moment when I hoisted national flag in Antarctica. The first national flag which was hoisted there. And here again you will see that I am with no thermals, and everyone is in thermals, but very friendly people. And the captain came and he said, "I can't believe that all this has happened." And that was all the hard work of the people, basically most of them from Kerala. So this is the station. We had a lot of problems with the station. There used to be fights, this and that. I'm not going into those details. Now the problem is this, that the station, despite all the problems, was ready by 24th of February. Whether I can leave people there or not, again a big question mark. Because you leave those people there, once you leave, there is no contact with them. Nearest station is, by flight, it used to take half an hour, so 300 kilometers, 200 kilometers away. So if something happens, what do you do? So again I talked to Dr. Qasim. He said, "You are the person on the spot, you have to take the call." So I was in that kashmakash indecision, and the captain of the ship said that, "Dr. Gupta, if we don't leave on 1st of March, our ship will be ice-locked. If we are ice-locked, we stay here for just 1 more year on this ship with no food, nothing, because we have not carried the food for the entire year." So that was a big question mark in my mind. So again, to my good, this is just a view of the station. This is our medical room, laboratory, another laboratory, communication center, toilets. So in between, we went to 𝗗𝗲𝗄𝗏 mountain, which is a high mountain, and you see the flag is straight. The wind is so strong, and the pilot of the helicopter said that, sir, I will not switch off the engine of the helicopter, because suppose it does not start, we are stuck here. We can't go back. So anyway, so these are very exciting moments that one can have. So finally, about 20 of us were in the station on 24th of February, and there was a blizzard. It lasted for 25th, 26th, 27th, 3 days. And it touched the maximum speed reported for that period. And our station survived, but for some little bit problems, which the engineers which were going to stay back were able to take care of it. So that gave me the strength that I can leave these people behind. So there was all prayers. This is some views, all of us there. Then this is how I looked like with a beard and all that. So I welcomed them to that place, and we planned to leave. And again, thank the star, because it was 1984. February had 29 days. So that 29th February was an extra day on which all the things moving to the ship. Then everyone who is staying behind has to give a certificate that I'm staying here on my own will. Because something happens, the government of India should not be held. So there were a lot of problems which were to be sorted, etc., etc. So we moved. Now, I'm not going to do all that. That's why I'm giving this book, which explains all the scientific work. It's almost 300 pages, and hats off to the scientists who went with me, because they worked so hard scientifically, and when anyone was free, he will go ask Major Nair, how can I help? So they worked hand in hand with everyone. These are the details of the work that was carried out. I'm not going to do that. And I call it a miracle to construct a station in Antarctica in one Antarctic summer, which no one had done earlier and no one has done since then. And when I look at it, what are the reasons? How did it happen? Excellent preparation interaction, unloading and reloading of the whole of the ship, plexiglass window in the fuselage of Mi-8, then allotment of 2 rooms on the ship for medical facilities, helicopter crash and subsequently comment, if I do not come, I won't come back, became a war cry, lifting of inquiry after the helicopter crash. Then a very strong blizzard in the last week of February that Dakshin Gangotri will last. One thing I forgot to tell, you see, some of us sweat a lot on our feet. So you are working in very cold environment and you sweat on your feet, and then you sit down to rest. Then that sweat freezes and you get cold injuries. So anyone who got the cold injury, I'll ship that person to the ship and get somebody in exchange of that. After 10 or 15 days, no more cold injuries reported. On way back to the ship, I found that some of my colleagues have lost their toes. I said, why didn't you tell me? Yes, sir, we told you you will send us to the ship. We wanted to work there. So, but for this helicopter crash, we would not have built that station. So sometimes, and that is actually the basis of this book, Not a Day Different, because things that have happened in my life has shown me that the things which happened, which appear to be too bad when they happen, turn out to be boon in disguise. Then also, as soon as that helicopter crash took place, the chief of air staff called me to set up an inquiry. Then I sent a message to PMO office that if I start the inquiry, where will I do the work? The inquiry was lifted within 30 minutes. And I was told that you should do it once you come back. So things like that happen. And look at the station built on 620 square meter raft foundation with living space for 12 generators, laboratories, melt tank, etc., etc. in 1983-84, so that created it. On my return, this is a visit with the Prime Minister of Mauritius. There was a hero's welcome given to all of us, and people were very happy. They loitered around, moved around, and this is coverage on all. They speak French, basically in Mauritius. So all this thing, fin Polari ship and myself, this is how I looked like at that time. And there used to be, you might have seen 𝗓𝗏 once upon a time, which have all closed. So all the cover page, here is Arun Singh from Geological Survey of India, and again, thermals and no thermals. So we came back, and there was a procedure that will make a presentation to the Prime Minister. And this happened on 6th of June at Vigyan Bhavan. She had given a time of half an hour at 5 o'clock. In the morning, we all assembled and we discussed what we will present. And Dr. Qasim saw what I was going to talk about. Everything was followed. She came at 5 o'clock sharp. And at that time, when Prime Minister came, the entire cabinet moved with her. So the people came and started to. He said, "Aapse to main rozi baat karti hu, let me talk to these people." So that kept on happening. Half an hour was over. Then she said, "Harsh, coffee nahi pilaoge?" There was no plan of coffee. So people ran to get a cup of coffee. They did the mistake of bringing sandwiches with coffee. She touched the sandwiches, badi hard hain. People again ran. In the process, she was with us for 2 hours. We were very happy but very surprised why it is happening. Next day I realized that when she was with us, Operation Blue Star was on 6th of June. So apparently she wanted to be away from whatever was happening. And this is a very proud picture. I am seated next to her. You see, in those days, 𝗓𝗵𝗄𝗏 Patil or 𝗍𝗏 did not try to sit next to her. They are sitting away. 𝗓𝗵𝗄𝗏 Patil is next, and then 𝗍𝗏 after two. On left is this lady from, you invited her for your conclave, 𝗓𝗏 Sen Gupta, and here is Aditi Pant. So these two ladies were in the 12-person scientific team, not because they were ladies, but because they were the best in their discipline. 𝗓𝗏 had conquered Lalana, a unconquered peak. She went there with, she was the captain, with two other people, two other ladies. On way back, they were caught in blizzard and one of them lost life. She was also chosen to be a part of the 𝗔𝗃𝗍𝗄𝗏 team to climb Mount Everest. At the same time, she was selected for Antarctica. So with the geological background, she chose to come to Antarctica. So these are the people who make you feel proud. Then, of course, Indira Gandhi was assassinated. I must tell you, 𝗗𝗵𝗵𝗃, that the entire year I was on my toes because there will be cause, this has happened, that has happened. And Arunachalam, science advisor, he had known me. He used to call me, "Harsh, what has happened?" I said, "Wo to hoga, wait kariye, wait kariye." Achha, people also like to exaggerate a little bit, na, to tell that hum itni mushkil mein. Anyway, so the team came back and I introduced it to Sri Rajiv Gandhi. By that time he had become the Prime Minister. I had known him earlier a little bit. So when I went to see him off, he put his hand around me. He said, "Harsh, why did that accident take place?" So this was in his mind. So I said it was a pilot's error because he did not rise adequately. He said, "I knew it all the time." So by 1988, the station is covered. We have built another station, Maitri. We had a Dakshin Gangotri post office stamp and all that. And 2001, I go to Delhi as Secretary, Department of Ocean Development. And there's a requirement that any program which has an expenditure of more than 100 crores has to have a cabinet clearance, the finance committee of the cabinet. So our Antarctic program did not have that required clearing. So I talked to Dr. 𝗵𝗏 Joshi, was the minister, that this is a requirement. And he said, "Of course, you put up a proposal." So that proposal was put up. And within 2 weeks, it was called. So the modus operandi is that the cabinet will meet, and whoever have put a proposal, they will be called. Their concerned minister will introduce and tell what's the thing, and if there are any details, that person will tell. On that day, Dr. 𝗵𝗏 Joshi was a little indisposed. he said that मैंने अटल जी को बोल दिया है कि हर्ष आके बता दें कि मेरी तबीयत ठीक नहीं है और आप जाइए. I went there. So when my turn came, I entered, and Yashwant Sinha was our finance minister. He said, आपको अभी ज्वाइन करे हुए मुश्किल से महीना भर हुआ है, इसकी क्या ज़रूरत थी? I said, मैंने यहाँ ज्वाइन करे तो महीना भर हुआ है, but I am involved in Antarctica for a long time. How? Then I told the whole story. So they said, please sit down and explain. So the story that I narrated to you now was narrated in 15 minutes without any slides. So they cleared that proposal. They also permitted the next 3 years of expedition, and they charged Department of Ocean for bringing out the most modern station, which is Bharti now. So this is the greatness of this gentleman who had that foresight that what we should do and do that. The government keeps on changing. So 2004, BJP goes and Congress comes in, and 𝗗𝗃𝗃 is very keen. He wants to visit Antarctica. No one has visited Antarctica. So his proposal was sent 3 times and it was turned down. So I told Kapil ji कि आप वो फाइल मेरे पास भेज दीजिए. Let me take care of it. So I wrote just 2 lines that minister's visit to Antarctica station is in public interest, and cabinet secretary cannot stop that file. Within 2 hours the clearance came, and by that time the Aleutian plane had started going from South America, from Cape Town to close to our station. So we flew there, and then I visited Dakshin Gangotri. By that time it's all buried, and there is just a mark on that. And these are the beauties you can't match anywhere. And I tell you, no matter of reading about Antarctica, the feeling that you get there when you reach there, the vastness of the ice, you cannot see the horizon because there is no tree, nothing. So where the land merges with the sky is not known. So after this book was published, I get a letter from 𝗗𝗃𝗃𝗃, who was in 1992, and he told me that they had a fire on the station in the kitchen. So all the oil was wiped out and the generator was gone. So they walked to Dakshin Gangotri, dug open 6-7 meters of ice, went into the station, found oil, so nothing gets destroyed, and a generator which made those 2 months livable. So I am really grateful to Department of Ocean Development, now Ministry of Earth Sciences, Finn Polaris crew, which made the miracle happen. I am grateful to Anjali Krishna, Professor 𝗂𝗶𝗺, K.B. 𝗂𝗶𝗺, you know, he is very, then Efficient Forte, Dr. 𝗧𝗏 S. Rajan, V. Krishna, and of course to 𝗓𝗏𝗃𝗃, and all of you for this opportunity. Thank you very much. I'll be happy to take any questions if there, if you wish to.
Thank you, sir, for sharing such a challenging experience with us about Antarctica and establishing that Dakshin Gangotri station that also before more than 30 years. Really, your journey will inspire us, all of us who are working in the earth science field. To express our gratitude, I now request our director, sir, to kindly present a memento to our chief guest as a token of our appreciation for gracing today's program.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You see, Antarctica makes you different. This is the Antarctic tie. This watch is Antarctic. This watch, right? It shows our station there. So, and whenever I meet my Antarctic guys, this is what. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Please take the chairs. To conclude the program formally, I now request Dr. Thompson, sir, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Very respected chief guest of today's function, Padma Shri Professor 𝗗𝗄𝗲, respected Director NCESS, Dr. Baba, former Director NCESS, distinguished former scientists and colleagues of NCESS, Professor Rajendran Nair, former HOD, Geology Department, Professor A.P. 𝗗𝗄𝗲 from Geology Department, University of Kerala, my dear colleagues and friends. So, as we draw this the 2025 lecture to a close, it's my privilege and with great pleasure to propose a vote of thanks on behalf of the organizing committee. The National Center for Earth Science Studies in the past few years have been celebrating the Earth Day on different aspects and on various scales. But I should say that this year it's very special because Professor 𝗗𝗄𝗲 is here, who was our former director, and as our Director NCESS in the formal vote of thanks as mentioned, one person who has managed to bring all these different places, different departments here at this campus, and who contributed tremendously, immensely to build this institution. Not only for CESS, but for in the earth science in India as a general, his contributions are much, much, much more, which we all has to draw, inspire, or have to be inspired from. And it's very befitting that he chose the title of talk today, the Dakshin Gangotri, a miracle, because it all started from here. Sir has mentioned many times. And we from NCESS has to be proud that in some way or other, the director CESS built that station here. And it was a pride moment for the country, and it should be a pride moment for CESS also. Sir, on behalf of the Director NCESS and on behalf of the organizing committee and all of us who are present here, I extend a very heartfelt gratitude to you for accepting our invitation and deliver today's talk. Thank you, sir. Next, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to all the former colleagues of CESS and NCESS who accepted our invitation and have assembled here to listen to the talk and also to personally interact with Professor 𝗗𝗄𝗲. Thank you all. Thank you, sirs. And a warm thank you to all our attendees, NCESS staff, students, and our colleagues and our guests, and for your engagement and the spirit and harmony which is growing in NCESS day by day. Thank you all. And to our organizing team and volunteers, especially Dr. Padma, Dr. Srilash, Dr. Prajit, Sneha, Shravan, Charan, Salaj, and Nishant and Unikrishnan, and members from the Director Cell. Thank you for your dedication for putting this event together. And special thanks to our student volunteers who have put in a lot of effort to make today's event to run smoothly and meaningfully. Thank you. Thank you very much. And to conclude, as we leave today, let us carry forward the message of the Earth Day. It is not just a date on our calendar, but a daily commitment. We all know that as we should continue to act, inspire, and protect because we specialize and we practice earth science. So thank you all and have a wonderful Earth Day. Thank you.
With this, we conclude the formal part of the program. Let's remember that our planet's story is being written every day through our research, our choice, and our collective actions. Now we invite all of you to join us for high tea. For guests, it is arranged in the corridor coffee room outside. And for all staff, high tea is arranged in the lawn. Please have the tea Following high tea, we have the pleasure of inaugurating two of our newly established laboratories, the Sedimentology Laboratory and the Isotope Ratio Mass Spectrometry Laboratory by our Honorable Chief Guest, Professor 𝗗𝗃. Following the inauguration, we request all faculty members, researchers and guests to kindly gather for a group photo at the ramp, and after that, as a symbolic gesture of sustainability, we will be distributing saplings from our garden area. Thank you once again for being part of this special day. Let's continue to explore with curiosity, act with responsibility, and protect this planet with purpose. Happy Earth Day 2025.
Group photo. Yeah?